All right. Yo, what's going on, wonderful world? Again, this is your boys, the guys. We got the podcast jumping on tonight. Want to thank everybody for joining us. If you don't know, you can catch us on the guys Facebook page. You can catch us on the guys YouTube page. And soon you will be able to catch us on the guys caffeine page on the caffeine app. As you can see at the bottom, we got a plethora of topics that we're gonna get into and discuss today. But the first thing we're gonna talk about is we're gonna talk about last night. Did any of you guys go back and listen to the battle again?
Yo, can you give introduction to the people so we can know who each other are, man?
Man, listen, if they don't know you by now, that means they don't want to know you. But up there drinking, I'm not sure what he's drinking, but he got the little
That's
personalized
Scotch.
decanter.
That's Scotch right there.
What
That's
you
what
got?
Newman drink. That's what
Okay.
Vince Newman drink.
A little bit of cognac from Cognac Italy,
Okay.
special brew.
Well, the first ounce went on the table though. He missed the whole cup.
Yeah, he did. He definitely did that.
It's too
And
early.
then to the bottom, we got Mr. Merv Diaz. What's going on, Merv?
What up, Bubba?
Boy, that's that Geechee talk right there.
Geechee
Woo!
talk.
That's
Bubba.
that Geechee talk.
What up, Bubba?
What up, Bubba? Boy. And then we got the homie. We got up top in Philly. We got Mark. What's up, Mark?
What up, yo?
Yo, so did anybody go and rewatch the battle last night?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So, Mark, rewatching the battle without our commentary, did anything change for you, or was it still a wash for Snoop?
No, it was not a wash. X really held it down in the second half. I didn't realize how good his second half was, but his second half was really good. Snoop, Snoop built a big lead. I think early I had Snoop probably 7-3. I think, going back and listen 7-3 in the first 10, but then X came back. I still think Snoop won by 11-9. After going back and re-listening, I still give him the win, but man, X was hot in the second half. And it wasn't
that close in the second half?
Not good. It wasn't like his records weren't good in the first half. I just think Snoop's were better. You know what I'm saying?
Got you. So, Merv, you say you went back and watched. What did you come away with anything different?
I did, man. And when I watched it last night, I was like, I think I became succumbed to the first 8 songs and X just getting blown out. I start paying attention. I listen to y'all commentary. I let y'all influence me. But you know what happened last night, man? New England Patriots, Atlanta Falcons. Snoop Dogg blew a 28-3 lead in the third quarter, man.
So you said Snoop lost it? Can we get the answer? Can we get an answer?
Field goal.
Did Snoop lose? So Snoop lost.
By a field goal.
So what was the final count?
It went in overtime.
I don't think it's possible for Snoop to lose because he didn't lose the first 10 songs, period. So
no, I didn't have a win in every song in the first 10. I didn't have a win in every song. It was like X only had maybe like 3 or 4 songs, if that, something like 3 songs. But he went on a run in that second half, man. I'd probably call it a draw, to be honest with you. I'd probably call it a draw. Like X went on a run in the last 10 songs.
That's the diplomatic politician way to get out of things. And speaking of diplomacy and politicians, we're gonna go to Mr. Diplomat himself. Sean, were you able to get anything different today than last night?
Yeah, last night I think I went with more of my emotions. I felt that because I'm an X fan, of course, so I wanted X to show out last night, and I felt that Snoop came off and just started hitting home run after home run in the first, second, and third quarter. Looking at it again, I think X made a very solid comeback. It's not as lopsided as I had it last night after I had a chance to think about it. I read several comments, read a lot of people who was on Versus. A lot of people had X winning. I didn't see that, but I can concede to the fact that he closed the gap really close on the back half of that battle. I still have Snoop winning it, edging it out, because I still think that Snoop catalog and those songs that he had were just monster songs. And I still think that X did a really good job. But I still get an edge to Snoop regardless.
Man, let me tell you, I didn't go back and rewatch it, but I did wake up this morning and saw a whole lot of comments that Snoop lost. And that's why I had to hit y'all up. I had to text y'all and be like, yo, I must be drunk still, because the comments are coming in saying that Snoop lost, and I just didn't see it. I didn't, like I said, I didn't go back and re-listen. But I just wanted to get y'all thoughts on that before we jump into these topics. The first topic we're going to talk about is something near and dear to the hearts of our two NFC East fans. So we're going to start with you, Mark. Can you tell me what you got to say about this temporary name change that was pushed out today?
It's dumb. I'm like, they should have just decided on a name. But I guarantee you that Dan Snyder, the owner of the Redskins, or formerly the Redskins, excuse me, was being cheap and didn't want to pay the Globetrotters organization money for the Washington Generals. And that's what they should have been called. It should just took the Generals name and ran with that. They didn't. Now they're the Washington football team. It sounds like a club team that plays intramural football on Saturdays. It's stupid. It's dumb. And this is why they're the laughing stock and why they lose. This is exactly why they lose. Exactly why.
So I expect Sean to continue to pile on, being that he's also a member of the NFC East family. So, what you got to say about the name change, Mr. Sean?
I mean, Mark hit it on the head, man. I mean, here's the thing, but Washington, the franchise has struggled for quite some time. They got a lot of stuff going on right now. This name situation it should not highlight the nonsense that they got going on inside that organization. I do think it's dumb. I don't think they had a choice but to do this right now until they get the approvals for whatever name they're going after. So it makes sense to do that. But at the same time, I mean, it's crunch time. The NFL is kicking off in less than 90 days, I think, less than 60 days. So they got to get something out there for merchandise purposes. And I saw the merchandise on websites already posting, and it looks silly. I mean, again, it's the Washington, whatever you want to call them. So
Washington football team.
Yeah, it's the Washington football team.
Pardon me, the Washington football team. Yeah. So I can't say I feel bad for any fans because I don't like their fans anyhow. So I hope they suffer. I hope they feel this. I hope they're hurting right now. I hope there's a Washington fan out there right now curled up in the corner trying to figure out what they're going to do next year.
Wow. That's pretty harsh.
Yeah, I don't wish them anything good.
Hey, but Charlotte, we also had a name unveiling yesterday in Charlotte. And here it goes. It's the Charlotte Football Club. That is our MLS team that will start in 2022. So I kind of feel like Washington was biting a little bit, but we'll talk about that at another day. So Merv, with the name change and with everything else that's been going on within the franchise, what do you see happening next for Mr. Daniel Snyder, who's the majority owner of the Washington Redskins? Well, the Washington football team.
Well, you're going to make a decision fast, and calling it the Washington football is his political way of still trying to fight the name change. I mean, I feel that they had ample enough time to come with a name change. They had 4 finalists, so I think it was Red Tails,
I just know of Red
Washington
Tails
Warriors,
and Washington Generals.
Washington Warriors. I didn't hear about the Generals, and it was another name. So it had 4 names that was running ever since they had to take off Redskins. It's gonna cost them money because now they have no market. Nike took them off. So with them doing Washington football, if you put that in the stores, you have to change again. So as a business decision, it's crazy. He haven't handled the Redskins in a good business fashion or sports fashion since he's had the team. So, I mean, I'm glad I'm a 49ers fan.
Okay, well, Sean, I was talking more so.
Whoa. Okay. Well, let's continue with this. The Washington,
No,
the Redskins, or formerly the
no.
Redskins, a lot of trouble there.
Well,
Okay.
what my question was, Sean, can you tell me what do you think is going to happen with Snyder, with all the things that are happening within the organizations? There are some women came out saying there's some inappropriate actions being taken by a former coach. Is one of them. Owners is another one. Mainly dealing with the cheerleaders. What you think?
So I think that they're going to have to play this one very careful, because whatever happens to him, it's going to happen to several others that's been doing this since inception. And I think that with the situation going on with Snyder, they're going to have to tread very lightly, because this is going to open up Pandora's box across the board. The other, not just the NFL, also other organizations that has this type of issue. It's not exclusive to the Redskins at all. It's not exclusive to them. So I think whatever decision that they make, it's going to be a situation where they're going to have to really figure out before they go.
All right. I don't know what's going on in the background. Sounds like Merv is at a party or some shit.
Yeah.
But
you all right?
and you see, he got that little sheepish grin, like he's really doing some shit he shouldn't be doing.
Yo, Murph, you got to fall back. You all right?
Yeah. Do we need to kick you out the cast right now, man? Like,
no, I'm good, man.
Okay. All right.
If you got to fall back, let everybody. We don't want your business out in the streets and everything. So, if you got to fall back, fall back.
So,
as I was saying, Dre, before Merv was getting whatever going on out there, I think Merv at a pimp house. Anyhow, when I'm thinking,
he's at a brothel.
Whatever they do to Snyder, they're going to have to understand that this could happen to others. So they got to be careful about it.
So, well, with that, okay, here's my question, because their coach, he's already dealt with this previously, dealing with the Carolina Panthers, my squad, and Mr. Jerry Richardson. He's kind of went through this similar situation, and they had to be sold. Mark, tell me, where does Ron Rivera fit in as far as changing the culture and helping the Redskins get better and away from the nonsense?
Well, I would say like this: he's going to come in with discipline. If one thing about Ron Rivera, his teams are usually disciplined. They're not, oh yeah, we're going to do whatever we want to do. It's usually run the ball first, build a stout defensive line. That's kind of the Ron Rivera way of doing things. He was a coach with the Eagles before he took off as a head coach, so he comes under that. Jim Johnson and all of that kind of stuff. He comes under all those guys. So the thing is with him, I think that and he's also like the president of football operations or something like that, right? I think he got named that as well. So I think I think the Redskins are going to be a run-first football team. They're going to build a great defensive line, and eventually they'll get the quarterback situation straight. That got the rookie that they had last year, right? Haskins. I think his days are numbered. I'm like Ron Rivera probably try him out, but if Ron Rivera doesn't really like what he sees, he's not really going to do much there. But I think they're going to be a run-first football team. I know they had Darius Juice, and I know Juice has been injured some. Adrian Peterson is there, and he's kind of like on his last legs. But they're going to have to get stuff. They're going to have to get something out of those guys this season and moving forward. And I think that's how they'll build stout on the defensive line and run the ball effectively. I think that's what they'll do, and that's how they'll build that franchise back up.
Merv, is Ron Rivera the right guy to navigate through this situation, especially seeing that he's already done it once, which I think was pretty successful with everything that was going on?
Yeah, I would have to say yes because he's the right guy in more than one way. It's almost like Daniel Snyder lucked up and picked a good coach for the team, but is also the right coach for the situation for two reasons. One, he went through this with Carolina, so he's already familiar with how to handle the media, the press, handle his players, keep the players calm, keep the players focused, and also if doesn't he have a he's part Indian, right?
You say what?
He's part Indian, isn't he part Indian or not?
Yeah, I don't know his ethnic background. I know he
You
Hispanic,
know the
but how
background.
far
I
past
was
that, I
think I was
don't know.
thinking. Well, it could be wrong. But yeah, based on uh, with him going through this with Carolina already, he's the right coach with the experience to be able to keep the players focused.
All right, so we got a Washington Redskins fan that is going ham right now in the comments, and he's saying
He
that we need to allow folks to call in.
yeah, he
Listen,
tried to
rough.
just now. Like
Yeah,
if
he
I
called
can
me too.
cell phones, and I'm like, yo, what are you doing? We live right now. You trying to call my it's like I can pick up the phone and say, hey, we got caller on line 4. Go ahead and speak away. Come on, man.
Hey, we got you, rough. If you ready to debate and talk sports with us or whatever,
He just want
hit
to talk
us
about the
up next
Yeah,
week.
Redskins.
well,
Yeah, he just want to talk about the Redskins.
Straight,
But
send
yeah, you know.
him the
Tell him
link.
type in comments. We'll respond.
you say send him the link, Sean.
Send the link. Yeah,
Hey, no, go ahead, send it to. All right, I'll send it to him in a second.
yeah. And
So
don't call me no more, man.
yeah, stop calling us. But the thing is, he see us live and he call. Like,
Right.
why?
He
Like,
called me. He called me like be friends. I gave him my number by accident. So he hit me like be friends. Like, fam,
Hey.
don't call that number no more.
Oh my
yeah, yeah.
Hey, he's a Redskins fan following the owner. That's something Dan Snyder would do.
All right, so we gonna switch it and we're gonna move it on. Hey, Mark, your bread and butter, man. Everybody knows how much you love the NBA.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Okay.
Is the NBA are they the model set up for everybody, all the other sports leagues to restart?
I would say right now that they are. It seems like this bubble is working. I know Marv's gonna get in on this in a minute. Because he called this from the start. Him, Danny Thompson. Yep. Him too. So I'm like, I'm eager to hear their opinions on that. But one thing, that basketball coming back, it was just great to see. And I'm gonna tell you, if you did not see Denver's second year player, Bol, who should have been you should have been a first round pick, should have been a lottery pick, but he got injured. But it's no way he should have slipped to 42 in the draft, not with his talent and size. He put on a show in the preseason, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 6 blocks. He could shoot threes, he could dribble, dunk, great movement. I'm just excited to see his game grow. And my thing is that let me just pile on the GMs and scouts for a minute. Stop missing on these guys. Your job is to scout. Your job is to know the players. You're not supposed to let a talent like that slip the 42. I do not want to see this, anymore. I'm just like it's terrible. And the young man, he's going to be a great player if he stays healthy. But I'm trying to tell you, whatever team you're a fan of, you better hold your GM accountable because I do it in Philly all the time. I hold these guys accountable for every pick they make.
I'm gonna tell y'all what just took place. In case people did not understand what just took place, Mark just threw his name out there to become an NBA GM. That's all I'm saying. Hey, so if Jerry West gets fired, Mark Johnson is available.
Yeah.
Hey, so Merv, obviously the bubble is working. There was 0 positive tests in their last round of testing. I got a question for you, Merv, and this might throw you off a little bit. How can the NFL implement the same type of testing protocol to ensure that we have a productive NFL season?
The NFL is working at a disadvantage in comparison to what the NBA did. Even though I don't think the NFL care enough to take the necessary measures that the NBA did, but NBA, you got 12. You got 12 players. NFL, they reduced it. They reduced the amount of players for this season, and they still got 80 players. So you got 32 teams, you got 80 players. It's just so many players. It will be very difficult to test every player every day until they have a zero positive test. But NBA is the model that the NFL should follow. I just don't think they care enough about their players. They rather play. They rather do pacifying stuff.
Get it out. Get it out. Hey, so Sean, this is gonna be the last question on the actual restart of the NBA. Do you feel that it is an ethical violation with the NBA paying for and getting these tests and getting the results so fast when the rest of the nation can't do the same?
I think so, man. I think that it shows one or two things. It shows, one, that we're exhausting everything we possibly can to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to get that kind of result back that quick, because you have essential workers out there testing positive, still going to work, trying to get, some kind of access to medical facilities that can get them results back in a timely manner to support their families. And now they're showing that they can get this done in a timely manner just for a basketball game, right? And again, not to downplay the NBA, I think that entertainment is needed, but at what cost? You know what I mean? So I still think that, you're looking at what the NBA is doing. They're showing you what can be done, right? And there should not be an excuse where that cannot be opened up globally to others around there. So I think that the NFL, they're going to work something out. The NFL, in respect to the NFL, it's a little bit different because, most essential retailers and most companies are right now going to face shields, face guards, and the face mask. In NFL, you wear a helmet. So you essentially have a face mask or a helmet, something to that nature. I think that they're going to make some provisions to try to adjust as much as possible. But it does look like the NBA is a little bit further ahead than everyone else.
You know what? Let me ask one question to the group. With the NFL, right? And just like you said, everybody wears a helmet. Do you think that they should or would include maybe putting a face mask within the helmet or something like that, or
no?
Would it be too hard for them to breathe or play?
That restriction.
Everybody would die.
Everybody would be breathing like they're in Denver.
Right.
No, okay. All right. I just wanted to know.
I think the helmet shield would be modified. If anything, they will modify the helmet shield.
Okay. I think everyone should be required to wear a visor type deal.
Wear the visor, right?
Yeah.
Because if they all wear the visor, technically they have the provisions that has been mandated for most. Like the state of Virginia right now is being hammered with the mandates because you have to wear a mask anywhere you go for the part, right? So I think when they mandate that for the NFL, they should mandate the shield if they haven't done so.
No, they could. That's probably the best thing, Sean. Make everybody wear visors. They could probably add maybe an inch to the visor where it comes a little bit further down where the face mask is at.
Right.
You'll still be able to breathe. It wouldn't mess with your nose and the breathing, but it will still prevent, like if you sneeze or anything, it will go into the visor instead of coming through the helmet. And then they also have the mouthpieces. They have mouthpieces that can cover the top and bottom of your mouth. So they also mandate where everybody get those kind of mouthpieces. That would help reduce the ability for fluids, sneezes, or coughs. That's the best they could do. Anything else, like wearing a face mask, the helmets get real hot, especially on like a 95-degree day playing in the sun. Yeah, you have people passing out.
Okay.
Hey, Merv, I got a question. Did you have a cage? You look like a dude that played safety with a cage, man,
Yeah,
face mask.
yeah.
Yeah,
With the over exaggerated
yeah. He had the neck roll.
right,
He had
right,
the back pad flapping and shit.
Yo,
right,
he,
right,
he tucked his shirt up and stuff.
right, right.
I that my forte was hitting. All I care about is knocking somebody out. I'd rather have a big ass hit than an interception. So that's kind of right.
Yeah,
Exactly. See,
yeah,
we called it. See, hey.
yeah.
So, not Mark. You know,
Mhm.
we in your bag right now. This is where you get passionate. Hey, I want you to tell me your 3 top front runners for MVP right now.
Oh man, I got Giannis. He's number one. I think he's clear number one. And then to be honest, I got to go with the both the guys on the Lakers, Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and we've talked about that, so I'll go ahead and share it. I know some of y'all feel that Anthony Davis, if it was an MVP from the Lakers, it should be him based on the numbers, based on his play. Um, my thing is, I'm just like, if it was an MVP from the Lakers, I'm just like, it's hard to go against LeBron because LeBron, he's the one who closes a lot of things out. He's the one that has the ball, usually at the end, making all the decisions or whatever. Anthony Davis, great player, but I could see, if somebody was like, all right, look, I'm voting for LeBron or I'm voting for AD, I'm like, both have arguments, to be MVP, if it didn't go to Giannis.
Yeah.
So here's my problem with LeBron. So I think right now LeBron has a teammate that doesn't need him to succeed. And so all these years we've seen players play with LeBron and all of their stats dip. They become
Mhm.
pedestrian, so to speak, and they're not as great as what we thought they were. I.e. Chris Bosh, i.e. Dwayne Wade, i.e. Kevin Love, i.e. Kyrie Irving. But now you have a player who is leading his team. His team is number one in the West, and he's leading his team in points. He's leading his team in rebounds. He's leading his team in blocks. He's leading his team in steals. There is no way that any other player could be on the number one team in the conference, leading his team in every major statistical category, with the exception of assists, and not be considered the MVP on that team. I think this is a situation where LeBron names precedes him. This is a situation where the media has helped LeBron. Because what has happened over the past year or so is there's been a push for LeBron to be considered the GOAT amongst the media. Because you have
Mhm.
people like Kendrick Perkins out there speaking out. You have people that are riding for him that we know goddamn well LeBron is not the GOAT. And I think an MVP is something that would help him get that GOAT status a little bit closer to his name. And so that's what I personally feel is going on right now in the league.
All
Sean,
right,
you
I
tell me
agree.
how you feel.
Ooh. Mm.
Yeah, go ahead, Merv. Come
Yeah, I
back to me.
totally agree. LeBron is great. He got a lot of achievements, team achievements, solo achievements, but the NBA, since LeBron was a rookie, has really tried to push him like they pushed how they made Michael Jordan the NBA person that they push everything behind. You're trying to do a similar thing with
Can I
LeBron.
can I interject for a minute, Merv?
Go ahead.
You say the NBA pushed Mike. I don't think they did. I think when Mike
Okay,
came in
well,
the
no,
league, I think
not
Magic
push
and
Mike.
Bird was still the push. That they still had to push Magic and Bird. I think Mike kind of bum rushed himself into it. You know what I mean?
but I think that was the
No,
dream team. I
I
think once he
I
went to the
agree.
dream team, I think that
Facts.
kind of pushed him like into that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was talking about as far as like when Magic and Bird started dying down, they focused everything on Mike. I should have been more specific. So you're right. When you first went, it was still Magic and Bird, but as they died down, they put everything behind Mike. I should have been more specific. But with LeBron, his rookie year, him and Carmelo came in both same time. Carmelo Anthony won Rookie
he
of
should
the
have been rookie.
Month every month.
Carmelo was the rookie of the
month.
year.
Be clear.
And LeBron James, guess what? Won Rookie of the Year. How the hell you win Rookie of the Month every goddamn month, but you don't win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
Explain that to me. So I agree with you. Even now, number one team, and you leading your team in every statistical category, because you not even number one on your team for MVP. You second on your team,
right,
for MVP running with LeBron. So it is a narrative that the NBA, whether they admit it or not, is really trying to push LeBron to be that guy because he's so. I mean, he's lovable. You know, like he doesn't get. He's a lovable character. He's a lovable person, and he does everything right. So I understand why they would use him for that, but you still gotta give the other players that earn it their props.
Man,
Carmelo
but you know what? Let me
the year over LeBron, and right now Anthony Davis is having the best statistical year on number one team, and it should be Giannis and AD. And it's still there's an unpopular opinion, but you got to put Harden up there in that number 3 besides LeBron. It's like Harden / Bron.
Bro, what the fuck just happened?
And
you did all you get. Wait a minute, Mark. He gave all that good commentary to come with some bullshit and say that James Harden should be an MVP candidate. Hey, I got it, Murph.
Scoring, right?
I said candidate.
You played college football. You don't know much about basketball. Georgetown sucked. They always finish last in 7-3-8. Go ahead, Mark.
Do you understand what candidate means? I say candidate, not winner.
Man,
he shouldn't be a candidate.
Right. Let me make one more point where I think, and it's something, that all y'all kind of alluded to. I'll put a point on it. It's that, LeBron, I think you said, like his legacy kind of precedes him. So it's more like, like, all right, if he was to get MVP, it's a culmination of what he's already done plus what he's doing. And I think they go against AD because they still will hang everything that happened with the Pelicans on him. Like, if you were that great of a player, you should have been able to lead them to the playoffs, which he's only done once when he's with New Orleans. And they seem like the voters or whatever will hold that against him for life.
I agree.
And I just see that happen, and I think it's unfair, but I think that's what they're doing.
I totally agree. So we got the top MVP candidates, and so right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna move on, and I'm gonna forewarn everybody that's watching. Like I said, we got a lot of people on YouTube watching right now. We got a couple people on Facebook right now, but right now it's about to get heavy because this is something that's very passionate to me. So I'm gonna start with Sean. I want you to tell me your thoughts because you from Queensbridge, you know what I'm saying? Queens get the money, all that. I want you to tell me what you feel about what T.I. had to say in taking on the entire New York City, so to speak.
Oh man. Oh, that's loaded. That's a loaded situation. Because I think I've read a lot of the commentary on that. I saw some of the interviews that he's done. He's done one with Fat Joe. I think he was on the Breakfast Club. He did something on that, and I think he did something else on his own joint too. And everything I saw, man, I honestly, I want to hold this one back a little bit because I'd rather debate this one than just to give a take on it. Because I think this one deserves that kind of banter between all of us. Because it's something that has been stated, not just from T.I., it's been stated from fans. It's been stated from other artists from the South. It's been stated from artists from the North. I mean, it's the age-old adage of little brother want to show big brother that they still exist and that they're relevant. And I think that's what T.I. is showing because in his interview with Fat Joe, and Fat Joe was very diplomatic in that interview. He got really, I can see it kind of turn him off a little bit. Because he started saying, whoa, because T.I. started saying some wild stuff. And when T.I. started talking, he gets one of the wild things he said was, you can compare Run DMC to like a UGK.
You can.
That's ridiculous.
You can. It's not. Listen, here's the difference between. This is why Run DMC is so great. If we go back and we listen, their lyrics are not great. They were just the first group to cross over.
What?
And they didn't even cross over with their own lyrics. They took a rock song and they made it, and that is how they crossed over. That is the significance of Run DMC. I'm gonna tell you the greatest thing about Run DMC. The greatest thing about Run DMC is Jam Master Jay. I think Jam Master Jay is top 3 when it comes to DJs. I think Jazzy, you know, speaking on, you know, the homie of March, Jazzy Jeff is the greatest DJ ever. You would never convince me otherwise. But that is what Run DMC has that separates them, is Jam Master Jay in my mind. I don't think they're great. I don't think that you like come on, bro. It's tricky. Like, really, nigga? Like, that's what we're saying is great. It's tricky. Like, I just don't put them there. And I think what T.I. is saying is the East Coast New York rappers, I'm not even going to say East Coast, I'm going to say New York rappers, they get a whole lot of leniency when it comes to how good they are, what they can do, and how they can be pushed because they are from New York. There is no way, and he got a couple songs that I like I like A Bay Bay or whatever, but there is no way that guy would be from New York and not be like crushing the game. He's garbage in my eyes.
Who?
But if he was in New York, he would be crushing it for a couple years. I don't even know his fucking name. Hurricane Chris.
But he's garbage. It doesn't matter where he's from. He's garbage no matter where he come from.
But that's our point. When you look at like T.I. said, who is we don't even know his name. This Is Why I'm Hot. That nigga was getting mad respect
off of one song. But that was during the time.
That song was trash.
That was a hot song that summer. That was a hot song that summer. That was a hot song. You know, he didn't do any.
It was hot because he was from New York.
It was
probably because the beat was hot. You know what I'm saying? And people rock with the beat. And it was an easy, catchy lyric to say, "This is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot." I mean, it's easy.
I thought the song was whack, in my opinion, but it got a lot of airplay because it was a catchy song. Back during that time, hip hop was in a very different state during that time because a lot of these artists was coming out making one-hit wonders and they were catchy. It's no different than, you know, Soulja Boy making a couple of them joints. You know, Soulja Boy Crank That. That shit was all over the area. I thought the song was whack. I still think to this day that song was whack. But it was catchy.
I feel you. Let me go back to this Run DMC thing. Like,
yeah, please.
You know, I'm like, if you have not ever seen Run DMC in concert, it's hard to appreciate how good they really were. I'm like, I've been fortunate to see them guys at least 4 or 5 times, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, when I say rock the crowd, I'm like, I'm saying the whole place go crazy. I'm like, yo, I'm talking from stadiums that had 100,000 people, right, to sets that maybe only had 5,000.
Be clear.
It's the same exact reaction.
I'm not talking performance-wise. I think performance is different because one of the greatest performances
they're probably the greatest performing rap group of all time.
No,
like it probably is not a group that can get that type of reaction and get that type of reaction and fill out, 100,000 easy.
Listen,
I'm like, and they could do it anywhere in the world. When they were at their peak, God, Run DMC is legendary.
When we're talking performance, I'm not talking performance. I'm talking about what you put on wax. And so, Merv, I want you to chime in, Merv, because we know you are from the South, but you are East Coast biased. So I want you to tell me, do you feel like the South gets an underwritten hand when it comes to who's great, who's good, who's a lyricist, who can put out the product that make the people want to buy it?
Pains for me to say this, but there's a lot of valid points in what T.I. said, and there is like in my opinion, if T.I. and Andre 3000 grew up in Harlem or Brooklyn or the Bronx, had the same exact songs and albums, everybody would have them in their top 5 because they're from New York.
Facts.
I do feel like New York, if you're a rapper, but if it be in the mecca of hip hop, if you come from there, you automatically got extra validation.
Facts.
Where other regions, South, Midwest, West Coast, they gotta be that much better to get the same validation. So I do feel that there is some valid points where there's a lot of New York bias when it comes to hip hop and rap. And in the past, painful for me to say this too, in the past 10 years, New York rap has been subpar. Matter of fact, there's a lot of New York rappers that sound like Atlanta.
Because a lot of people were saying that, and T.I. said that, and I totally disagree. I think the radio New York has been subpar, but when you talk about, man, Dave East put out one of the best albums ever, and I'm not talking for that year. I'm talking when him and Styles P linked up, they put out one of the best albums ever. So I don't like that narrative, and I don't like the fact that Southern folks are taking that narrative because I think it kind of watered down our whole argument.
Right.
I'm gonna say New York radio rap has been subpar, but it's been some shit that has come out New York.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, even if you talk about, you gotta think about it like this, guys. Hip hop shifts a lot. You know what I mean? When everything, and I'll go back to the Run DMC thing. I mean, Dre, you cannot say when you put on Sucker MCs and the first line you hear is 2 years ago, a friend of mine. I mean, you cannot tell me that. I mean, come on, that from that era, that
Run's house.
Yeah, I mean,
Down with the king.
No, listen. I'm gonna tell you what they benefited from. They benefited from.
Everyone wanted a pair of shirts or my Adidas.
Facts. I got some. I got like 5 pair right now.
What I'm saying is, you start there, right? Because you're talking about early mid '80s when lyrics and cadence was emphasized during that time.
I disagree.
You only had to
it really wasn't.
I disagree. Listen,
because Rakim the one that changed that up.
No, I don't even.
That's when people stepped their pins up when Rakim came on.
My favorite, I think. This is what I think. I think Big Daddy Kane would watch Rakim. Big Daddy Kane is my favorite old school New York rapper.
In a battle, because Rakim's not a battle rapper.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In a battle.
I'm talking versus type deal.
I mean, Kane and Rob came with the lyrics. Kane had the swagger, the J swagger, right? Or J, I got the hit.
Yeah. I know where you're going. Mm-hmm. I'm with it.
Rob came out with the intellect, come on the stage, you know what I mean? And just kill it because his pen was so vicious. And again, that's kind of like a knob. You know what I mean? So you had those two guys ushering in a different side of hip hop in the late 80s. When it starts shifting, that's when you had LL come through. You had LL come through with some hard body shit, some stuff for the girls, but he also had some of that really get down to lyrical good music that was transitioning from the 80s into the early 90s as well. Although L came out in the late 80s, early 80s, mid 80s. So the transition, it started moving as hip hop started evolving. The biggest jump in hip hop, in my opinion, the biggest jump in hip hop was when you're looking at roughly around that 92-ish era, because you had the Chronic that came out when things started shifting more so on the West Coast because they had just came off the NWA. You know what I mean? So you shifted into the whole Chronic, Snoop, all that era. Ice Cube was killing it during that time. Mac 10, all those guys from the West Coast had it. And then you had this big boom in New York all over again. Like it happened again because you had Big, you had Nas, you had Wu, you had all of these legendary rappers that we consider today our top 5 of all time that came out around the same time and dropped classic after classic. The post that you put out there that's getting mad hits, by the way, it has 80% of that posting that you put out there were artists from New York from that era, from during that time.
But here's the thing. The reason why is because New York gets that push. And I don't want people to fucking neglect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if let's think about a song that was like, you know, it was whack. Yeah. But it got mad radio play to the point where you was like, all right, this shit kind of jamming. You know what I'm saying?
But the radio do that. The radio do that all the time.
But that's
when do the radio not do that?
But no, what I'm saying is that's what happens when it comes to New York rap. Like, it's a lot of shit that comes out, and it's like, yo, this shit ain't popping. Or if you want to go on the other end, it's a lot of shit from the South that is really popping and doesn't get no love. Y'all already know how I feel about Big Crit. Big Crit is one of the coldest ever in my mind. But Big Crit gets absolutely no love in New York. He gets no love up top. Crit is cold though.
Yeah.
Hey, Crit is cold. Well, here's the thing. I'm like, first thing, even if you think a guy's cold, does he get love, in his region?
Oh,
like,
for
they
sure.
Play him.
Do you
know what I'm saying?
For sure. He gets
I'm like,
a lot of love.
because nowadays.
No. Okay, I'm gonna take that back. He doesn't get radio love. And that is the issue. He doesn't get radio love.
So and you have to come out, like, usually if you want to get radio love, you got to come out with a song that they can rock with, right? I'm just like, even if you thorough, right? I'm just like, look, it's a lot of stuff. Hey, listen, man, I love Beanie Siegel. It's a lot of his stuff that did not get played on the radio. Stuff that I think is his best stuff, but they played the radio friendly joints. And I'm like, I can understand that. But it's just like when people will come to me and be like, yo, man, I heard that Beans record. I'm like, you ain't really hear Beans though. You know what I'm saying? Let me play you something. And it's probably the same as Crit or anybody else from somewhere where it's like, yo, listen, that's the radio stuff. You ain't even hear the real. Let me play you the real. I get that. I understand that.
Because the record labels make money off the spins. So again, they have to push the best song out there for the radio, for the masses. Because when you're talking,
absolutely,
there was a period where it didn't matter. It honestly, you think about.
But we're here. We're talking freaking hip hop. We don't care that, and that's what I love about y'all, because y'all have the same view as me. We don't care about spins. We don't care about fucking record sales, because we would be doing the damn doodah dance and saying fucking Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time.
And we
top 5.
He's not even top 10. He's not even top 15.
He's not top 20. He's not top 20. Eminem is not top 20.
I know
he's not top. He's not my top 10.
We hear you, but we can't see you, so you don't count.
Yeah,
he ain't in my top
20. Yeah.
Sean, I got a question. So do you not feel like there is some type of New York bias? I ask you this question because, one, you're from New York, but two, you've moved out of it, and now you're growing up in the not the Army, you're not that great, but growing up in the Marines, you've been able to deal with people from different regions and different backgrounds. Do you not feel like the South is not stepped on?
I do. And here's why. I remember back in '99, I was in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I had this older sergeant, man. I was a young Lance Corporal. I had this older sergeant put me to the side, and he was like, yo, he's from the Bronx. And he was like, yo, Sean, he had like a deep Bronx accent. He's like, yo, Sean, you can't be shitting on these guys like his Sean. And this is during the time when it was like Cash Money, back that ass up, was at its height. And I used to be like laughing like, this shit is whack. Like I thought it was just straight whack. And he was like, yo, you got to appreciate all that shit, son. You got to just listen up. And I was listening because a lot of my roommates back then, and even when I went to Japan, I was around a bunch of dudes that was from Louisiana, Georgia, Alabama, and they were putting me on a lot of Southern music like crazy. And I mean, it was like, or when you go to the club, you really don't want to listen to New York music in the club
At all.
at all. There
And that
some
was
songs
evident. That was
every
evident in our
then,
battle.
right? Every now and then you would get like an Annie Up, you know, a Lean Back or something like that, or a Jay-Z joint when he was, you know, making club joints. But for the most part, they all and Dre, I'm gonna tell you this, you probably gonna look at me crazy. But when I was in Japan, I remember 8Ball and MJG came over, right? This is how jacked up I was, right? All my homies, they had
Don't say it.
gave us the McMilk gave us some tickets to meet with 8Ball and MJG
Don't do
for 3 hours.
it. Don't do it, Sean.
I said, I'm good.
Son.
From Alabama and Atlanta, everywhere, they was chilling with 8Ball and MJG at the USO for about 3 hours. Just talking. They got pictures, autographs, and everything. To this day, I am sick. The only thing I got was a picture with E, an autograph with E, and Stevie J. Real talk, and Stevie J. That was it.
So I got a question. You brought up 8Ball MJG. Mark, do you have any type of relevance with 8Ball and MJG?
Oh,
Yeah. Man, I remember, first thing, see, my brother went to college in Atlanta, and that's how the South stuff started, getting with me. It's between my brother and my aunt, right? My aunt is the first one to play Eazy-E for me, NWA, right? And my brother and my sister went to college in Atlanta. So he would bring all that stuff back. So before Outkast came out, I knew who they were, 8Ball MJG. And anybody who knows me knows I love Scarface, Ghetto Boys,
Facts.
whether it's
Facts.
Willie D, whether it's Big Mike, and I thought Big Mike was smooth on that
Wow.
on them joints, right? So I'm like, like that was brought to me from then. Then I'm like, man, this is a whole other thing, and obviously, the West Coast got brought in because the Deep Cover record, and I appreciate Snoop playing it last night. Thank you, because that's how we got our introduction to really the West Coast. Besides NWA, Eazy-E, but I'm just saying another artist, that's how we got our introduction, because it was like, yo, this is a West Coast guy rapping on the East Coast beat and killing it, right? So, I mean, we appreciated that. Do I think it's New York bias sometimes? Yeah, because being from Philly, we go through that with New York. I go through that with my people in New York. They would, it's always like a little back and forth thing, kind of y'all like the little brother to us, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, you seen it play out, with Rockefeller, Jay-Z's the big brother, and Beanie Siegel and State Property, the little brothers. Okay, but it's like competitive rivalry. And I get where T.I.'s coming from, where it's like, yo, it is a bias, right? But here's the thing. I'm just like, if you dope, right? If you dope, yo, it's going to push through.
I
It's going to push through the bias.
I don't agree.
And T.I.'s proven that he's pushed through that.
No,
I'm not every artist, but I mean,
that was Tip's thing. He pushed through.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Maybe
Mark.
not. Yeah, not everybody. Okay. What's the question?
You gonna ask it
Real
today?
quick. Today, currently, right now, each one of y'all give me y'all current today, y'all five to 10 top rappers.
Are we talking? But see, that's a hard one, Merv, and we've had this discussion on
I'm
here
not
before.
talking history. Just currently, what
right now. Who's putting out music right now?
No, me like in the past couple of years, past 2 or 3 years, like not today as in this month, but today.
Nigga, really?
Well, I don't act like you couldn't understand.
I don't think I can give you 10. I don't even know if I can give you 5. I'm gonna tell you this is how I feel. When we talk about the current state of rap, I'm listening to Crit. Everybody knows I love Big Crit. I'm listening to J. Cole, and I'm listening to Dave East. and I'm listening to whether people believe it or not, the Locks is still dropping a lot of content.
They are.
That's what
Okay.
I'm listening to. If you're talking about what's happening in the rap scene today,
All right, cool. That's no, and I could do that. Can you give me 3 more people that you listen to? 3 more rappers you listen to?
3 more that I'm listening to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say them, but I don't think they count because they did drop last year after a long hiatus.
That's fine.
Lil Brother is definitely up there. I think Fonte is one of the most slept on lyricists of all time. He's the guy that put Drake in a body bag on their song. They got a couple songs together. I don't think people know that Drake actually. I don't think people know the reverence that Drake has for Lil Brother, and I don't think
heard
people
Drake mention him.
I don't think people understand
Drake got him
how.
ranked high.
Yeah. So I would say Lil Brother, and yeah, bro, I'm gonna keep it honest. That's why I have a hard time being a DJ because I keep it 90s.
All right, cool.
keep it
Sean.
90s.
Yeah,
Who wanna go next, Mark or Sean?
Maybe with you.
All right.
Huh?
Well, obviously, I'll start in Philly Black Thought. I think lyrically right now. I'm serious. I think lyrically right now, he's pretty much untouchable. I don't think anyone can freestyle against this guy and win. I just don't see it. With the freestyles that he's dropped, and then he's dropped some solo projects.
Mark,
I think it's impossible to beat him on a mic.
We're not debating who the greatest. Name me other rappers.
If you're talking from like, what I'm listening to now, right? I'm like, yeah, of course, Meek Mill. Yes, we love Meek. You know what I'm saying? I like him. J. Cole. I think J. Cole's dope. Man, and then even with some of the newer guys, where it's like, all right, like it's more mumble rap, right? But I think the beats are hard. I think the cadences are right. And my nephew's always put me on these guys, right? So I'm just like, man, what's that guy? NBA Youngboy, right? I was just like,
Mark,
listen,
stop.
No, you're not listening to me. Listen what I'm saying, man. I just said his cadence and his beats are good, right? Like, Polo G, right? His cadence and his beats are good. And that's how that's how you get into a record. You know
okay,
I'm like, honest. You got to snap on stuff, right?
I'm gonna be honest.
I can't just be like, yo, I'm only gonna stay in this lane, right? Because I'm like, yo, my nephews always put me on the stuff. My little cousins always put me on the stuff, right? And then when you rock out in the car and you turn that up, and then you got the bass behind you and all of that, like, yo, it sound good. They can't rap like in a lyrical sense, like what we came up on. They're not that. It's a different era. But does the music go hard? Yes, it does. And that's what music's supposed to do. It's supposed to go hard. So go hard.
So I'm still
either your top current rappers, or would you listen to, or the rappers you listen to currently?
I'm still stuck in nostalgia. I'm not gonna lie. So it's hard for me. I love music, period. So I probably listen to less current hip hop now than I ever have in my life. I listen to a lot of classics now. I'm not talking about like classic hip hop. I listen to classic music, period. But right now that I have on rotation, of course, I still got Nas. My wife and I went and saw Nas last year at the House of Blues. He killed it. Dre had a chance to see Nas last year. I think it was year before last.
You talking about when he was forgetting his lyrics? Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he was drunk like he was last night. He killed it. So I'm still bumping the Lost Tapes. The Lost Tapes came out late last year, or I'm sorry, middle last year. So I'm still listening to that. I'm listening to a lot of Griselda, West Side Gun. You know what I mean? Griselda is slept on. Buffalo's finest.
I forgot about them. I am definitely listening to Griselda. Conway is something different, man.
Yes. Like hit him with the blinky.
So I definitely forgot about them. Griselda is dope.
They're dope. I'm listening to that. And I'll be honest, I mean, I joke around with you guys a lot about Drake, but I'm gonna listen to Drake, man. I mean, every now and then he'll drop a jewel. I'm
we
gonna
know you're a
listen
fan.
to. What's that?
We know you're a fan. You don't
Yeah.
make jokes.
I think he has that swagger, man. He has that Jay-Z kind of swagger, man. You got to respect that. You know what I mean? So I listen to that. But Merv, that's about it, man. That's all I really listen to, man. Not that much.
So the people that collectively between the three of y'all that y'all mentioned, what areas are they from?
Mine was all over.
Yeah, mine was all over too.
Mine was over.
Yeah, mine was all over too.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, because I'm less like, man, you know, I touched on Philly, Carolina, Chicago. You know, that's Chicago. I mean, I like that Chicago scene. I'm
But
like
here's
Montana 300 and those guys, like, yeah, I like that Chicago, that drill music. Like, I like that. That gets you hyped, gets you amped. It play hard, it bang hard. Like, yeah, that's how I roll, man.
But Mark, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna because this originally started about the South, and we're gonna keep it at the South. For the folks that don't know, Saturday night, the homie Merv is gonna jump into something that us three have already been in. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna do a battle. Merv has Rick Ross. Yeah, up on the banner. Merv has Rick Ross, and I have Jeezy. So
Maybach Music.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Me and Sean has had this conversation plenty of times. Rick Ross is a very underrated artist. Is something that's gonna be tough for me to beat. So, what I do want to know is, Mark, just off content alone, you know, not judging of who's gonna play what. What do you think will or should happen come Saturday night at 7:00?
I'm telling you, this should be very close. I mean, I expect to hear 20 songs from Ross and 20 songs from Jeezy that I love. Like, that's how good the material is that these guys had from the start. Like, I mean, you can go back to you could go back to Jeezy's first stuff, Trap Star and all of that. You can go to Ross with Hustlin' and the remix. I mean, you talking all the way back then, and you're talking about guys who are still making music all the way to today. You know, I'm like, this is the type of battle that you want to tune in for the music. You know, and you really, and as a fan of both these artists, right, and as a fan of music, I'm like, man, you don't want nothing left on it, like just left on the table where it's like, oh, he ain't play that. Like, even though they got so many records, you're going to say it anyway, right? But this is the type of battle that you want to tune in for, because this ain't nothing but good music all the way through. This should be a couple hours well spent. You know, much like it was, I think, last night, to be honest with you. But I think this should be that, and I'm waiting to see it. I'll be tuned in at 7:00 on Saturday, and I think both y'all going to do a great job, and I'm just waiting to hear, just hear the great music. You know?
So, question for you, Mr. Sean Johnson. With the stress that comes with, because this is Merv's first time doing this, and I will say this. This is what I think. I think people jump into it and they don't understand the stress that comes with it. They think that, oh, it's just all shits and giggles. Speaking about someone else that joined in and they got their head demolished, what type of advice can you give to Merv as his first time venturing into this arena?
So I want to set this. I want to kind of piggyback off of Mark real quick before I answer that, because I do want to set the tone for this battle. You know, Dre kind of got a little bit nice last night during the versus battle, when he just out of nowhere threw the jab and saying, "Merv, who you want to battle?" And then he started talking crazy, like he was trying to get Merv to say, "I want to battle you." And I think that's on it. So I just want to throw that out there real quick. I know Merv personally. You know, Merv and I broke bread. You know, our palms met. I consider Merv a friend. So I know Merv's ear. I know he has a good ear for music. Merv and I have had crazy debates, like to the point where I don't think we talked the following day because we had to decompress because we had some crazy debates on everything, man. Because we tried to disagree on everything, but we always come to the common into the middle at the end of the day. So I know Merv's ear. I know his ear is good. I battled Dre. I've been stressed out battling Dre. I mean, I took a week. I think we prepared like a week in advance, and I try to take it personal, where I wanted to anticipate what he will play. So I'll play joints that I know that I'll probably under his skin. Kind of like Mark would say, like that's just go at his heart. That's just start tugging at his heart. That's just go at him personally, you know. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good battle. I mean, you got two heavy hitters in Jeezy and Ross. They both have history against each other. They have reconciled since. I think there is still some competitive tension there. So I'm hoping that this actually gets to their ears some kind of way, or would kind of reach their airways some kind of way, because I think this is a battle that I don't know if you would get this kind of battle on Versus, because I still think that there's some weird history with those guys that I think it'll be difficult to get them in the same room to do a really legit battle, because you don't know how many records that they made subliminally about each other that are hits that we love. You know what I mean? So I don't think they'll do that just because of that purpose alone. And I don't think Jeezy is in that space anymore to even want to do music like that. I mean, he has an Asian home and he's out there living life, doing things different now. So I think he's different, so he can sit back, hopefully, and enjoy what Drake can bring to the table. And I'm hoping that, you know, Ross had to capitalize on things, so he may try to give Merv a hit and say, yo, make sure you play this. But I mean, I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. But at the end of the day, I think that this battle will set the tone for more to come, because the battles that we're trying to do as a group, and that we're inviting others to come on here and do other battles as well, is battles that you may not see on Versus for whatever reason. And again, we're not trying to compete with that, because Swizz is a legend. You know, Timbo is a legend, and they're great guys, and we're not trying to compete on no level at all. We don't even have the bandwidth to compete. We're doing this because we're doing it from a fan's perspective. And I know Dre adores Jeezy, and I know that Merv adores Ross, because they are both passionate about the game of hip hop, and they're both passionate about those artists. So I'm looking forward to this battle. Mark hit it on the head. This is gonna be something that I think everyone can sit back and just really shake a tail feather and really get a chance to feel, you know, these artists' catalog. I mean, you got Jeezy, who pretty much had a good run, you know, in the early 2000s. And then Ross came back and had a good run as well. So that's going to clash in the middle some kind of way. So, yeah, we're going to shake a tail feather to this one.
I want to make a couple points before I get to Merv. First, I want to listen. I know Merv is thinking shit is sweet, and I'm not doing this to try to deter him from anything that he wants to do. But I'm gonna tell you how stressful this shit becomes. Mark actually told me, I hope you fail at everything in life. Those are actual words from Mark. Like, listen, when you get into this shit, like Merv, it's gonna be different. Like, we are all cool, and it's like for those moments, it's like fuck you, fuck your family, fuck everything you stand for. I'm gonna kill you. You know what I'm saying? This nigga actually told me he hopes I fail at everything in life.
Man, so, you know, before you go, Merv, let me just say one thing. Is one thing you know about these battles, right? You come in with a game plan.
Yes.
And you definitely adjust.
Yes.
You always do. So I'm gonna say like this: it's more like, you know, like if you ever watched a great coach, right? Whatever sport, and he makes all the necessary adjustments, and you win. Because at the end, it's like, yo, it's great. I'm happy to do it, but you still want to win. You know,
Facts.
you still want the victory. So I'm like, man, I think, you know, this battle, like any other battle, but this battle It'll come down to the adjustments, and I think that'll determine the winner.
So Merv, I have a question for you, Merv. You're the new guy on the block when it comes to the battle. Sean has already testified and gave testimony to your ear, your music ear. What, without giving me your strategy, what do you have to say about Saturday night? And you can answer today. You don't have to. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. I know it takes a long time for you to gather your thoughts and shit.
You gotta process.
Hey, hey, you know, hey, for those that don't know, never mind. I ain't gonna go there. Go ahead. What you got?
Hey man, perfection takes time. Perfection takes time, man. You just can't rush. You can't rush it, man. You just got. Problem with y'all guys, man. Y'all always got to go hard, man. You gotta soft things up sometimes. But Saturday night, man. Yo, every song is gonna be a banger.
I hear you.
There you go. There you go. I like that. I like that.
Say less. Hey, say less. You ain't gotta say nothing else.
I'm looking forward to it. I think that, you know, again, I want everyone to understand that this whole pod thing started with healthy competition amongst us in some category, whether it was the battle, and we started, and let's be clear, again, not to compete with verses. I want to keep throwing that disclaimer out there. We were doing hip-hop battle catalogs right around the time verses came out, before it actually hit. We were talking about the Mobb Deep versus Outkast battle since last year, before COVID hit, and before we even got into it. Dre and I started toying with the idea of going at each other about who had the best catalog since last year. We just never had carved out the time to really do it. When we finally carved out the time, it was because we were quarantined and really didn't have nothing else to do, and said, let's go ahead and put on the show. Dre been doing DJing for years. Dre been doing nightly sessions for years. And I've been tuning in saying, yo, why don't you play this? You know, why don't you play that? Or,
facts.
You know,
this nigga is really a motherfucking critiquer.
Right. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? So we've been talking about this for a couple of years. We just never put out my best foot forward. So I say that because, again, I want to invite anyone, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, I invite anyone who has a passion for music, whether you're a DJ or not. I'm not a certified DJ. I just love music. You know what I mean? If you want to come out here and just really put forth the effort to play what's important to the songs that are important to you, the songs that move you, so everybody can hear what your ear sounds like, come on and challenge one of these guys. Don't challenge me because you won't win, but come and challenge one of these guys, and you know, and you might get somewhere.
Oh shit!
Oh boy!
All right, so listen, we're about to close out for the night. Once again, I want to thank everybody that tuned in to the guys on YouTube, that tuned into the guys on Facebook. Like I said, again, next week we definitely will be on the Caffeine app. But before we close out, what I want to do is I'm gonna give each member, I'm gonna give you 60 seconds, and it's kind of like around the horn. Hey, you talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. So we're gonna start with you, Merv. You got 60 seconds to talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about, starting right now. Go.
Yo, so when I was coming up, a big boxing fan, and one of my favorite boxers of all time was Mike Tyson. And I was so hurt when Buster Douglas uppercut him and won. Like I ain't watched Sports Center for like a whole week, yo. Like I was hurt. So, but listen, Mike Tyson is doing an exhibition against Roy Jones Jr. Yes, both of them retired, both of them probably out of shape. But listen, it's Mike Tyson. He's a goddamn entertainment. He's an event by his goddamn self. Mike Tyson is a motherfucking event. So when that exhibition come on, yo, trust me, motherfuckers, it's gonna sell out. Motherfuckers gonna be all on TV watching that shit. You don't want to miss this shit. I'm trying to tell you. And Mike Tyson is gonna knock Roy Jones the fuck out. That's it.
Man. And you know what? Wow. I agree. I agree. And Sean, I know Sean was just like, yo, I don't really want to see it. Come on, man. Brownsville, Brooklyn, man. You know, he from right across the way. You know, you want to see it. It's Mike Tyson, man. Stop playing.
All right, now we moving on to we're gonna go to you, Mark, because you were the Philly guy. You got 60 seconds. Talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, homie. Go.
Man, well, one thing I will talk about, I'm going to talk about two players. LaMelo Ball, he's coming into the NBA next year. I mean, LaMelo Ball can play. He really has game. He has range. He's going to be the best out of the brothers. I think he's going to be an all-star for years to come. So, you know, I know he wants to get to the Knicks, you know, and be the franchise player for there. So we'll see what happens with that. Keep an eye on a guy named Imani Bates. He's the best high school player in basketball, period. He could be in the NBA right now. That's how good he is. 6'8" guard, committed to Michigan State, probably will jump to the NBA once they eliminate the one and done rule. He is that good right now. Keep your eyes on him, Imani Bates.
All right. Sean, you got 60 seconds to talk about whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be related to anything that we've already talked about. Your time starts now. Go.
All right, so while y'all giving props and promotions to everybody who already famous, I'm gonna give promotion to us. Yo, anybody out there that really want to hop on here for next week, even starting next week, you want to come out here, you want to debate, hit us up on the on the Facebook posting or message one of us, and we'll make a slot for you. We want to have some more debates. We want to have some really healthy debates on sports, entertainment, hip hop, whatever the case may be. Anything you want to step in the ring and go at us at, put us on our Facebook. Hit us on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, you can still hit us up on Facebook as well or message us. We'll be on Caffeine next week. We got some other things coming in the pipeline. So we want to make sure that we have a lot of engagement with everybody out there who's supporting us because we want to support you as well. So if you have a voice, you want to talk about something, you want to kind of get your rocks off on anything, let us know and we'll put you on here as well. That's 60.
Yeah, that was 60. All right. So listen, I'm gonna give you my 60 seconds, and it probably won't last 60 seconds. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm a man, and I'm a father, and I'm all about my kids. So with that being said, my daughter plays basketball. So somehow, I don't know how it happened, but the WNBA grew to be greater than the NBA to me. The WNBA starts on the 25th of this month. I want everyone to check out and give them the proper respect that they deserve as ballers. The WNBA are living in austere conditions at the moment, and it's not because of who they are, it's because the league doesn't care. So I want everyone to tweet, do whatever, go look at Diana Taurasi or go look at Sue Bird's fucking Instagram, and you will see the horrible conditions that they're living in. I'm speaking up now because even though my daughter has no aspirations to be a WNBA athlete, I know she will be.
What's up?
With that being said,
Dope.
hey, that closes out tonight's cast. I want everybody to give a hard salute, and we'll see you next week.
All right,
Indeed.
peace.
Peace.